Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
Leader of the opposition, Philip Brave Davis, taking exception with the leaked Ernst & Young BPL report. That story straight ahead.
Leslie Miller denies involving himself in contract bids.
Over 350 people show up today in court. Find out why. We've got the details.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, Leader of the Opposition, Philip Brave Davis, refuting claims made in a leaked Ernst & Young report that 2 Bahamas Power and Light contracts were issued to his brother while he was the minister responsible for the state-owned power company. As Jared Higgs tells us, not only did Davis directly contradict the report, but he was backed up by Works Minister Desmond Bannister.
Leader of the opposition, Philip Brave Davis, says as soon as he heard that his brother received the BPL contract while he was Minister of Works, he had the deal cancelled. According to a leaked Ernst & Young report on Bahamas Power and Light, Davis's brother was awarded 2 contracts, even though that company was not the preferred bidder. Davis categorically denied that assertion, insisting that current Agriculture Minister Renward Wells, who was Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Works at the time, was aware that he had the contract cancelled.
When I became aware that BEC had awarded my brother a contract, and it came to my attention, I immediately summoned the chairman of BEC. If I'm not mistaken, the member for Bamboo Town may have been present, or I may have discussed. I knew I discussed the matter with him for sure. But whether he was present in the meeting I had with the chairman and the PS, permanent secretary at the time, I called him in and I said, "Look, my brother is not to be awarded any contract in any of from my ministry or any of the agencies of which falls in my portfolio."
Davis also tabled a letter from Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Works Colin Higgs, ordering then BPL Chairman Leslie Miller to cancel the contract.
I directed the PS to write to the board and to BEC to cancel immediately the contract that may have been issued. I conveyed this to the minister, and I said, if Ernst & Young does not go further with their report, then their whole report is just the continual witch hunt that you all are continuing on, just to smear and to scandalize PLPs.
Now, Davis got support from an unlikely source. Minister of Works Desmond Bannister said Davis may be subject to unwarranted attacks as a result of the leaked BPL document.
Speaker, I intend to table the report without much comment today, except to provide some guidance to colleagues and for the media. In doing so, I note that regrettably, the report was leaked to one media outlet, which published a story on it without the benefit of these comments. As a result, the reputation of the leader of the opposition may have suffered an unwarranted attack, something that I sincerely regret.
Bannister says he knows Davis as an honorable man and would not wish his reputation to be tarnished. He added that the Ernst & Young auditors did not see the letter from the permanent secretary that would have ultimately exonerated Davis.
I wish to confirm that the allegation is incorrect. It is based on incomplete records at BPL, and I wish to say unequivocally that there is no evidence whatsoever that the leader of the opposition did anything wrong.
Bannister eventually tabled the Ernst & Young report, which revealed 44 fraudulent checks made out to 12 fictitious companies and 3 legitimate vendors over a 4-month timeline. In total, $2,013,304 worth of fraudulent checks were issued, with $1,939,398 being cashed. Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
Former executive chairman of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, Leslie Miller, also responded to allegations in that Ernst & Young report, which was tabled in Parliament today. Giorgio Bain tells us more.
Former BEC Chairman Leslie Miller is calling statements that he allegedly involved himself in contract bids at the company absolutely false and urges those pushing the agenda to get a life.
There was one guy at Clifton Pier when we took over, had taken home in excess of $80,000 a year for 10 years and overtime. And his base salary was $64,000. and we got rid of him. It's amazing. And they come with these little stupid, sick things, like it has any value in your life or mine. The average, I'm not concerned about me, I'm concerned about the average baby out there who catch an eternal, and I'm happy that we turned in over 3,000 people and made their lives a little better. And who don't like it could go to hell.
Miller told R News he was disappointed that an accounting firm on the level of Ernst & Young would print such scurrilous remarks without having any definitive proof on either the chairman or the board of BEC. The findings allege that Miller influenced procurement decisions for the awarding of contracts or circumvented the process entirely. According to Miller, the reason the lowest bidder was often not chosen was due to his expertise, asserting he knew when a bid was too low or too high.
With regard to these so-called contracts that they're talking about, every contract that was given out went out to bid on every occasion. In some cases, we would look at the bids. We would look at the bids, and normally, if you have any suspicion that some of these bids are excessive or too little, because in many instances, they came to the board with one price for the contractor, and 6 months later, they would come back and say, we need more money. Say, how is that? Because it wasn't sufficient, the contract wasn't sufficient, and over the contract, we have to pay for it. So, in each instance, we would probably go with the middle price, just to make sure, and that's what the Ministry of Works does to themselves.
Miller brought in special events and marketing coordinator Greg Wilkinson to clear up why his business, Mario's Bowling and Entertainment Palace, received over $52,000 from BEC in 2012.
That was a collaboration of a number of events held here over the our business meeting and also the Christmas party, which I can vouch for because it was something that I had planned with them. It was quite a low number based on what they were receiving from other venues to host a Christmas party, so we discounted almost 50% based on what they were spending on the pass.
Miller says he finds it funny that the audit didn't mention a contract awarded to a relative of a senior government official or another top F&M general that he opted not to name, but said the good he did for the company will always be remembered. Reporting for R News, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
House Speaker Halston Moultrie says he finds it odd that people would criticize the Prime Minister for seeking a pay increase for members of Parliament, especially when constituents require so much from their representatives. And he insists many criticizing refuse to listen or seek clarification. Instead, the Speaker said naysayers choose to spew negativity.
It's very interesting that the very constituents who appear to want the members of Parliament to assist them are saying that the members of Parliament should not get a raise.
It's not easy being an MP, according to House Speaker and newly elected Nassau Village MP Halston Moultrie. With a culture where constituents require so much from their representative, Moultrie says it's only fitting MPs get some sort of a pay increase.
There's been a paternalistic approach to politics and governance in the Bahamas, which, mind you, I don't agree with. I don't think it's the best way to govern. But constituents have come to expect their members of Parliament or their representatives to be able to assist them financially.
Many MPs have decided to keep quiet on the issue. Bain and Grantstown MP Travis Robinson caught some flack after he came out in support of the idea of a pay increase and compared MP's salary to that of a janitor. But government MPs like National Security Minister Marvin Dames are in support of the argument that a pay raise would deter MPs from corruption, despite the MP salary being only a portion of what many sitting in Parliament take home at the end of the day.
Persons who are prepared to leave their professions and to come and to participate in service to their country should be awarded compensation in terms of salary that would encourage the best persons to come forward.
Then there are those like opposition leader Philip Davis who agree with the pay increase for MPs but don't feel now is the right time, despite having supported recommendations for a pay increase for MPs when he was a part of government 3 years ago. Today, we asked Davis when does he think is the right time for MPs to get a raise.
When I think it's a good time, but once we got to address all the ills of our society, when we grow the economy more, when we find jobs for our young people, when we're able to afford to grant scholarships to our persons who are deserving of scholarships, when we are able to meet those expectations.
But Moultrie said Davis and those questioning the timing didn't pay attention to what the Prime Minister actually said.
The Prime Minister seemed to suggest that There will be a review, and this matter will be examined in June in the new budgetary period. Now, the time of that announcement, persons may have an issue with, but he forecasts this matter to occur some 7 to 8 months down the road in the new budgetary period. We don't know what the circumstances might be at that time. If we try to implement it this month or next month, perhaps there could be an issue. But 7 to 8 months from now, no one knows what the circumstances might be.
Despite Moultrie's assertion, the Prime Minister did make it clear that in the next budget, there will be provisions that speak to a pay increase for MPs. In other news, one of the operators of the Pineapple Express scheme being sued by 350 people impacted by the pyramid scheme today told a magistrate court that she doesn't have the money to pay those people back. Here's April Sands.
Mayhem today at the magistrate's courthouse where Tessa Monroe claims she doesn't have the amount of money to pay for 350 cases against her. Tessa Monroe of controversial ASU holding company Pineapple Express appeared in the magistrate's court today on a civil matter involving Pineapple Express clients. Back in September, hundreds of frustrated Bahamians swarmed the company's Zion Boulevard parking lot demanding a return on their investment into Pineapple Express. Scores of people gathered outside court today and jeered at Monroe as she exited the South Street Court complex. The matter was heard by Magistrate Samuel McKinney. Attorney Leon Bethel appeared on behalf of over 300 persons who claimed they were Pineapple Express customers. However, Monroe has not been charged by police. Monroe claimed she wasn't the owner of Pineapple Express, ASU Holders Company, and only represented it. When Bethel asked who was involved in the company, Monroe said 6 persons, but she claimed she could not remember their names. When asked if she was the speaker at a meeting earlier this year at Breezes for Pineapple Express clients, Monroe said she spoke at the meeting, but claimed she didn't remember exactly what she said. She added that the intention of the meeting was only to make the public aware of Pineapple Express being instructed to close down by the Securities Commission of the Bahamas. Monroe then explained the Securities Commission asked her to shut down the business until she could provide what she explained was a special license for financial services. When asked who was paying the rent for Pineapple Express, which was located in a shopping center on Zion Boulevard, Monroe claimed the company was paying the rent. However, Bethel insisted that a company cannot pay rent. It has to be paid by an individual. When asked if she had made any money from the Pineapple Express business, Monroe claimed she only had money in her bank account from the application fees. Bethel asked Monroe how much money she had received in fees, but she said she could not remember. Bethel asked to give an estimate. To that, Monroe responded she couldn't remember. She also stated that CDU had put a hold on her RBC and First Caribbean bank accounts while she was being questioned. Monroe did claim, however, that prior to opening the business on Zion Boulevard, she was running the business out of her home in Bamboo Town. Monroe claims she doesn't have any money to pay back anyone. The matter was adjourned to November 17th. Reporting for our news, I'm April Sands.
After discovering an increase in the number of customers using Island Luck accounts purely for inter-island money transfers, the web shop announced today that it has introduced software that will automatically block deposits to customer accounts for non-gaming transactions and shut down such accounts. Island Luck officials say the procedural changes were made to stop the abuse of their system and protect the integrity of the gaming industry.
Our compliance department has been working diligently to identify and close accounts where we have discovered persons were utilizing our platform purely for the transfer of funds across islands. Inter-island money transfer is not a service that we offer or intended to offer. We are taking this proactive step to ensure that our systems are not abused.
Officials say they are aware this move may impact Bahamians living on family islands who do not have access to commercial banks and therefore had to rely on Island Luck to transfer and receive money. However, the web shop operator says it must take a proactive approach to ensure it fully adheres to the laws governing this controversial industry.
So going forward, persons would be required to use their Island Luck card to both deposit and to withdraw funds. We have had requests from local government in several islands that may have been impacted by hurricanes, asking us to come back to those islands. But it's important to appreciate that this step is designed to align ourselves with the highest interpretation of the laws that govern our license.
Still to come on our news, how job cuts on Bimini are affecting residents, plus what you should know about your gun license. Stay tuned.